Hey now, I'm sitting here at Bootleggers Brewery in lovely Fullerton, California. Magnifique. And we're across from a church, and we're in the Church of Beer here with the gentleman I actually like very much, Aaron Barkenhagen. You are the owner, the president, the founder, and dare I say, the face of the company.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
How long have you been around? Not you yourself, but the brewery.
Oh. Let's see, 3.5 years
okay.
We've been open.
April, I believe, is going to be your 4th year anniversary.
Yes.
Very exciting. And how does it feel? Like, over 4 years, like, how do you feel this has grown? How are you feeling about it?
It's, it's awesome on one hand, but also very stressful at the same time.
Kind of daunting, right?
We are growing faster than ever, so it's, yeah.
How does that work? Is there sort of like, you start in a certain way, and does it kind of take off immediately, or is there sort of like, I don't want to say a lull, but it's a slow trek, and then there's kind of that tipping point?
I think it depends on how much money you start with.
I'm not talking about everyone, I'm talking about you.
Oh, for us.
But I'd like you to tell me about Dogfish Head as well. Like, we're going to go through each brewery, you tell me how they've worked it. I mean you!
Yeah. Well, the way that we did it is I worked a full-time day job the entire first year that we were open. So it was quite a bit slower than a lot of breweries start off. I think we brewed something like 175 barrels the first year.
Really?
So yeah, pretty small amount, and yeah, it was just me, schlepping the kegs, to our accounts and making the sales calls at lunch and things like that.
So what kind of day would it look like for you in terms of, like, you go to work and you're brewing at night? Like, how would you structure your time?
I brewed on Sundays, and then
the Lord's Day, of course, makes sense. Yeah,
of course. And then I luckily had a job that I could telecommute, so I'd take an hour for lunch and go make some quick deliveries at lunchtime, which my accountants didn't like too much, but it worked.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah. And yeah, just did sales calls, as soon as I got off work, and just made it work.
Wow. And what were you doing? Like, what was the day job? I'm gonna guess shepherd.
No. I was insurance product manager.
Wow. And you wanted to leave that fast-paced world for beer? Holy Lord.
Yeah.
Dummy. I'm kidding, you're not a dummy. But so obviously you missed that daily, but this Penny Ante operation is kind of doing what it does. That must have been like a cool moment for you to go into your boss, or maybe telecommute to your boss and say, like, beat it, I'm out of here.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was, I always had this goal of basically working for myself and being my own boss by the time I was 30. And here the train's passing.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to just do my own thing by the time I was 30, and I quit my day job a month and a half before my 30th birthday. So
wow. So I hear those stories a lot. Like I know Adam Carolla did the same thing, and like Jim Carrey wrote himself a $7 million check. I was hoping that I would win a $5 lottery ticket by the time I was 30. No such luck. Like, I got nothing. None of my goals have been reached, except for sitting here on this excitement. But that's got to be a really cool feeling, seeing something through in terms of a dream. Was that something you grew up past 21 wanting to do, a brewery, or did that just sort of come to you?
I think it just came to me. I knew I wanted to have my own business. So that was always a goal of mine, but
just threw a dart at a dartboard, various careers.
No, actually, I was I wrote the business plan when I went back to school to Cal State Fullerton. I basically went through the entrepreneurship program there. Part of that is you have to write a business plan and start kind of working on the business. So.
And you yourself were a home brewer?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I homebrewed for 10 years before I opened this place.
And how do you see the change over to the big leagues? Was that as a huge sort of build-up for you, a very difficult transition?
It was definitely a learning process, especially since I didn't have the opportunity to work in a production brewery before opening this place. But yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing,
right.
Especially when you're only brewing 200 barrels a year.
Right.
Now we're doing about 3,500 a year, and I mean, definitely the controls and the pace are a little bit different from how I started.
Right. And you're interested in that. I think a lot of brewers really come from it, from sort of a pure brewing standpoint, and that's just everything that they know, and maybe don't have the business. But it's interesting that you have that entrepreneurship element and the brewing. In coming into this, like, how do you see, like, is that a good balance, or you find like there's much more need for one than the other?
I think having the business background definitely helps.
Right.
The brewing, I mean, essentially, and a lot of breweries do just hire a brewer to do the heavy lifting on the brewing side. I think having a balance of both really helps out because, I know what goes on in the brew house, and at the same time, I'm looking at the profit and loss statement going,
Sure. So as you grow, and this is, brewing's fun, it's exciting, it's delicious, but it is ultimately, it's a business. There's a business of brewing, and you really come at it, I think, from a different standpoint from most brewers in that, if you look at brewers, not only have beards, although, you're working on it, but they come at it purely from a brewing standpoint. And I think it's neat that you have an entrepreneurship background and knowledge and the brewing experience. Like, as you look at your brewery and your business, which background do you think has helped you more?
I think the business background's definitely helped. I've actually had a lot of different jobs. I was a, dog trainer, repo driver, online coffee business. I've had a range of different jobs, but I think understanding the business side of it really helps. Because essentially as you grow, the founder of the company can't always be in the brew house,
right?
Shoveling grain every day.
Right, but you are still able to get in there and do your reps and really be part of that process because you understand it. Not like most brewery owners do. You really get the process and what goes into the production and the breweries and things like that.
Absolutely.
And do you because you guys are you do a lot of different beers. In fact, I just on Taste Terminal, that's where we are. I did a review on your pumpkin, C'est Magnifique. It's really one of the best pumpkin beers. Are you part of that? Are you purely the genesis of each of the beers that you choose to do, or is it collaborative with your brewers?
I would say right now it's probably 80 or 90% beers that I originally kind of came up with. But as I step back and kind of work on running the business as a whole, I think it's giving the brewers more opportunities to come up with some of their own ideas.
Does that feel weird? You're like, oh.
It is. It's a little weird. It's like sending your kid to school the first day.
Yeah. You're just starting to backhand them, though. If you mess this up, that's what you do. They're good with kids, too. Yeah. I don't have any, but I'm assuming. Man, I'm just saying. But, it's interesting. I was thinking about this on the way over here. Your name is Bootleggers. And to me, that conjures up images of rebellion and sort of going against the grain and things like that. Is that the way you sort of see yourself, or is that just the kitschy, cool name?
No, I think it definitely goes with our brewing style. We're not afraid to try any style of beer.
Right.
We regularly brew up to 20 different beers at a time. I think our last anniversary party we had something like 32
It's
beers.
Insane how many beers that you have there, and it's cool too because and I think to me, and you mentioned this when we were off the air, resetting or something, and you talked about local, and I think what's neat about local is you create a relationship with the customers around you, but you're also therefore invite them to come in and experience your brewery, and I love that you expanded and you were able to actually put in sort of a full, I don't want to say pub, but a real tasting area where you can get like beers and full pints, I believe. And growlers. And it's so neat. Like whenever you come in, you're going to try something different. And you guys are always innovating. So that must be fun to sort of try those things.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. We kind of use our tasting room as a little bit market research too.
Right.
So, we experiment with different beers and, kind of use the feedback there to determine if we should brew it on a larger scale.
Right.
So.
And did you come at this sort of saying, like, I want to brew this kind of beer, hoppy or Belgian, or are you just like, I want to brew good beers and I don't care the style?
Yeah, basically that.
Yeah.
We, like I said, we don't hold ourselves to one certain style or one certain geographic area of brewing. we pretty much are willing to try anything.
And do you ever find that you'll make a beer and you're like, oh man, oh, this is really a wonderful, and then your customer's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this is ridiculous. Or vice versa, where you're like, oh, not our finest effort, and everybody's like, oh, come here, you, and wants to hug you.
Yeah, no, that happens all the time, you know, and I mean, essentially it comes down to, you know, we brew beers that we like and hope everybody else likes them too.
Sure.
You know, I think brewing's kind of an artistic expression.
It is.
And you know, you gotta go with your gut, and you know, not everyone's gonna be a stellar performer, but you gotta try it.
Give me an example. I want to hear one that you thought, man, this is gonna be the best thing ever, and everybody's like, what else you got? Or the vice versa.
I'm trying to think now. Aside from Pink
We'll put a ticking.
Funkasaurus.
Oh no! I wasn't gonna mention the Pink Funkasaurus. Please, please, please tell the story. And this is humility here, because one of the worst beers I've ever had, but I like he's gonna talk about it.
Yeah, the Pink Funkasaurus. I mean,
it's Funkasaurus, by the way.
Yeah, Funkasaurus. We you know, re-ferment some of our sour beers with fruit, and we tried strawberry. Come to find out, there's a reason why you don't see a lot of strawberry sours out there. Kind of interesting flavors.
It was a pink Band-Aid, I believe, is what I came away with.
A little bit of, you know, Goodyear tire, pink Band-Aid.
By the Goodyear tire only. This isn't a Pirelli we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly, there were some people that liked that beer.
Yeah.
But they were definitely in the minority. Yeah.
But I love that, and to me that was cool, because I think it was on your second anniversary I had that. But it was neat, and you say like you have, I think, like 30-something beers on your anniversaries, and that to me is neat. Is you sort of throw it out there. I mean, it's not every piece of art is going to be great for the masses, but it's neat just to be trying. You know, get out there and swing the bat and see what happens. But on the other side, you look at something like. You have one of the most sought-after IPAs that there are, a double IPA, a knuckle sandwich. I mean, you guys can't brew enough of that. And I imagine, like, when you brew that, do you find, like, holy cow, how did this get to be such a big, popular beer?
Yeah, no, it's funny. When we first brewed it, it was just another beer on our tap list.
Right.
You know, it was, you know, figured try a double IPA.
Yeah.
Right? We did it. We liked it. Kept brewing it. It wasn't until about 6 months after we had it on draft that we released it in bottles, and at that point it just kind of got a cult following.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because beer's becoming so much more popular, and you talk about that cult element, and there are beers that start to go on eBay and things like that. Do you enjoy sort of being one of the sort of the smaller breweries that's growing, or is there part of you like, man, I'd sure like to get some of those eBay beers on there and, you know, be the prize of the nerds, as it were?
No, I mean, it's great that that people respect that beer, and you know, it's great if more of our beers kind of get that cult following, but that's definitely not what we go after. You know, it's you know, we're like I mentioned, you know, we're a locally based business. We want our beer served, you know, in the local area. Some of our beer gets, you know, traded out of state and stuff, but really, you know, I want to keep our distribution really close to our breweries, so that all of our beer is really fresh.
Yeah, and not only that, but you're part of this community too, because like you said, you went to Fullerton for grad school, and then, you know, and your business is here, and I think you live relatively close. Actually, I need the address if I can follow you home. That'd be great.
I live about 30 minutes away.
That's close enough.
With no traffic.
Yeah, and yeah. For this county, that's you know, any place in the LA range is 30 minutes is it's actually just down the street, as it turns out.
Yeah.
But and your partner, I know obviously in life, Patricia, your wife, ooh la la. You work with her here, and she helps you a lot with the business.
Yeah, she helps out in the office, and you know, doing special events and things like that.
How is it working with your wife? She won't see any of this. Don't worry.
It's an interesting experience.
Yes.
you know, there's ups and downs just like anything else. I think the key is, you know, making sure that you can have some separation in the stuff. If I had to interact with her every single day at work and
or
then
even
at
home,
home,
frankly,
then yeah, I might go a little crazy. But
you kind of try to turn it off when you get home, and like then that's home, Aaron.
Yeah, no, and even at work, we try to separate our duties so that she's kind of doing her thing, I'm doing my thing, and you know, we don't have to be on top of each other all the time at work. So.
All right, and now give me a preview. What do you got? I know you got the mint chocolate porter we're gonna taste in a little bit. What else is coming up on the horizon?
We've got another batch of knuckle sandwich coming out December. I think it ships December 12th.
Okay.
So just in time for Christmas.
Nice, good gift,
Great.
everybody.
Yeah. And we're actually working on coming up with a more regular release schedule for some. We're gonna basically in 2012 we're gonna have every month a different IPA available.
Wow.
And that'll be you know, pretty cool. And we're also going to be doing some of our other beers too.
That's great.
Kind of rotating them throughout the year.
That's awesome. Well, I like what you do, man. I'm really excited to go try some stuff, and I happen to like you too. I think you're a champion. Although you're a little taciturn, you're kind of a soft-spoken man, but you carry a big brewing stick. So it's good talking to you, brother. Now's the best part. Not that you're not interesting, but nothing's as interesting as beer. So let's dig into a few of these. I think we'll get some B-roll of this and show you. Their tap room has it's a zillion and one taps. It's incredible. And all of them delicious, but we're going to go through kind of a mixture of some of your everyday beers and then some of the seasonal things that are coming up. So first one I believe is the Hef.
Yeah, it's our Old World Hefeweizen. It's a traditional German-style Hefeweizen. You know, a little bit more on the banana side than the phenolic clove side.
Right.
And a little bit darker than a lot of Hefs out there.
Yeah. And what I love about that Hef's such a great style because I think it illustrates a couple things. A, I love the cloudiness of it, and just sort of that unfiltered element. Plus, the aroma is really, you know, hit on the yeast, and yeast is so important in this beer.
Yeah, I think, you know, Hefeweizen's really the best when it's fresh, too.
Right.
And this is really a traditional German-style Hefeweizen, but when you get a lot of the Hefeweizens that are brewed in Germany, they're old by the time they get here.
Right.
So they really don't have that fresh element to them.
And that kind of gets back to what you're talking about in terms of being local. I mean, it's really hard to get that same experience from beer that's so far away as you get from local. There's a pride that you take place in it, and just pure freshness makes a huge difference. So.
Yeah.
And you're doing, I'm assuming, just a straight out Bavarian strain.
Yeah, it's very. It's actually a specialized strain that really accentuates the banana notes, the banana esters in it.
Yeah, and you get the banana. It's interesting when you talk to people about, I find Hefeweizen, and you talk about that banana element, that kind of people recoil a little bit because I think they think of like Laffy Taffy banana, but this is just really like that pure, nice banana, like a sweetness there, but it's great.
Yeah, I mean, there are some Hefeweizen strains that have kind of a ripe banana. The strain that we use, actually, I kind of liken it to banana cream pie.
Right.
It's got the soft banana notes, but it doesn't taste like ripe old fruit.
Right, and I think soft's a good word too because this has a mouthfeel to it. It feels sort of that creamy banana kind of texture. It's really nice. So it's a great, really nice beer. You make this, I think, like every day?
Yeah, year round.
That's great.
It's actually our best seller.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh. I would have guessed like Palomino or your Pale.
No, by far this is over double the sales of Palomino.
That is so, because to me, if you're going to do a Hefeweizen, go Bavarian or go home, because it's just the way to do. And I like the use of the old world as the term, because it does have that sort of, you know, old world feeling, like the way Hefeweizen was meant to be. So that's great. Let's move on to the next one. And this is, I believe, Black Phoenix?
Yeah, it's our Chipotle Coffee Stout. And this is actually served on nitrogen gas. So it's got, you know, the nice creamy head to it. And
you don't necessarily normally do it that way, but it's just one of the ways you occasionally do?
We do small batches of it. but typically it's served on regular CO2.
And when you say chipotle, you're putting whole chipotle. How do you do?
Yeah, we grind up. The brewers hate this because we have a food processor, and there's this chipotle cloud around it, while they're grinding it. But yeah, we use whole chipotles, and then we use fresh Keen coffee. Keen is a coffee house that roasts on site here in Orange County. So.
Yeah, what's neat to me about this is it's got they hear Chipotle and they think like, oh, get me some blue cheese. I need this buffalo wings in a glass or something like that. But what's neat about this is that spice sort of cuts out some of the like acrid notes you might get from too much roast or bitterness from that, and this really like kind of balances the beer in a way that maybe hops might balance, another type of beer. This has that nice just little kick to it.
Yeah, I like it. Liken it to I guess some wines also. That a little bit of acidity at the end kind of helps balance the beer. Mm-hmm. The Chipotle isn't over the top. No. It's really just a subtle, like undercurrent that you get a little bit in the back of your throat.
Yeah, and to me it works really well. And one of the great discoveries of my life, aside from fire, is this beer. Actually, one of your guys, Alfred, and I discovered this. This beer mixed with mocha ice cream, ooh la la, it is unbelievably good. So let's move on to my favorite style, but not my favorite of your beers. I'll tell you why in a second. But the Eliminator, this is part of I believe your series of sort of seasonal IPAs you're going to do next year?
Yeah, this is it's a limited release, and it's actually brewed with Sriracha Ace.
Oh, well done.
Yeah. It's that's a hop that's not real common now.
No, it's a Japanese varietal, but I think they now grow them in America as well.
Yeah, yeah. So it's got a lot of lemon notes to it.
Yeah, it's got a really nice like lemon aroma to it. Now, is that a great? Is that a real aroma hop, or is that how does it do in terms of flavor and bitterness?
We use a lot of dry hopping of the Sriracha Ace. So we use Sriracha Ace, Centennial, and a little bit of CTZ.
You know what I like about this is it's got that beautiful bitter character, and I think a lot of breweries are really trying to do this better. They're finding ways to have a bitterness that sort of is palate. It goes across the palate, but it's not overpowering. It's not that drying sort of puckering bitterness. Right. It's just beautiful and more elegant, and I really think this has that. This is great. Why the name Eliminator?
Seemed like a good name.
Was it part of that dartboard where you chose a career?
No, I mean the thing is, I think that's probably the hardest part of brewing beer is naming the beers.
Yeah, that's always the hardest part.
The Black Phoenix was actually, in my opinion, kind of a genius name because Phoenixes rise from the fire, and so does Chipotle and coffee.
And the black from the coffee.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I love that. I think what's neat about as we taste through these, they're all so different. I find a lot of breweries you'll get sort of a house character to every beer. Sort of has that, like you could close your eyes and go, this is all bootleggers beer. And what's interesting to me is about each of your beers is there really is a different character to it. And I don't know if that's yeast or love or what it is.
Part of it's the yeast. We regularly cycle through like 5 different strains of yeast. So we have 5 strains always going in our tanks, which from a production basis is pretty difficult.
Yeah, I imagine.
But I think from a beer flavor standpoint, it's definitely the best thing that we could do for kind of bringing uniqueness to each of our beers.
Tell me you took a culture of that Pink Funkasaurus.
No, I think
so
that
much?
one's retired.
That's awesome. Okay, now this one is, we got to talk about this because this is truly, to me, it's a unique beer. This is your mint chocolate porter. This is the one, I believe I was here for one of the first batches of this. Just beautiful mint flavor and aroma. Talk about how you developed this beer, and let's drink it up.
Yeah, we started out just, kind of a crazy idea, and thought we'd give it a try.
It's like a thin mint in a glass.
Yeah, it is. The toughest part about this beer in the beginning was finding enough mint. Mm-hmm. When we originally did the pilot batches, we used peppermint and spearmint, and come to find out, peppermint's pretty difficult to find. So we eventually switched over to all spearmint, but yeah, you know, it's difficult to go find 20 pounds of mint. You know.
Yeah, it seems to come in those
on
little
a
small
whim.
packets. Like you just raid Whole Foods. It's like, where'd it go? This is great. This is my probably my favorite of your beers. And now I'm gonna put you on the spot. Of the 2,751 beers you make, I want you to pick a favorite child.
Oh man.
What do you drink at home in your beers?
A little bit of everything, whatever's new. The Dr. Tongue's always good. I like that one.
I love Dr. Tongue. Can we take a little longer stand to talk about Dr. Tongue? I'm sorry, this is a long video, but look how handsome he is. Dr. Tongue to me, and thank you. Yeah, I told him to remind me, and he did it very subtly. Dr. Tongue it's going to be one of those sort of seasonal, hoppy beers you do. This to me is the coolest story ever. Giddy up.
It basically started as one of our anniversary beers. Was intended to be kind of a Belgian, you know, strong ale / barley wine, you know. And when we were doing a pilot batch of it, I had one of my brewers actually brewing it, and he mistook the 0.4 ounces for 4 ounces in a 10-gallon batch for bittering hops. So it ended up being much more bitter than it was expected to be, and he called me on the phone and he was, you know, all worried about it, you know, oh, I just messed this one up. I was like, you know what, just go for it, you know, like we'll make a different beer out of this one. And
so after you backhanded him and fired him, did you have to retract when it was so delicious?
Yeah, no, it's funny because we just did it that one time, and you know, kind of got put on the shelf, and about a year later, we ended up pulling it off the shelf and deciding to brew it again.
Yeah, so I really predict that's going to be one of those, like, you know, knuckle sandwich type beers where people are really going to be seeking that out. Well, dude, I as you know, as a friend and just as a beer fan, I really do what you do. So cheers.
Cheers.
And happy holidays on this one. Ooh la la.